Welcome to learning Terraform on Microsoft Azure. In this course, we will learn how to use Terraform to deploy resources on Microsoft Azure. We'll start with the basics by setting up our development environment and installing Terraform. As we work through the course, we'll learn the syntax and techniques of Terraform. In parallel, we'll introduce Azure Resources and we'll use these to build our solution. By the end of the course, we'll have created Terraform code to deploy a scalable multi-region web server deployment. One thing that I want to stress about the course is my objective here is to teach you Terraform in the most practical manner so you can deploy anything. At the moment, there's hundreds of resources in Azure, so I can't possibly cover all of these in the course. But what I can do is if I give you the best grounding in Terraform and how it works, then you should be able to build these for yourself, and it'll become relatively easy. And there's some great examples on the HashiCorp website. So this is the infrastructure that we're ultimately going to build. We're going to start off with the kind of basics, creating resource groups, building network components like subnets and VNets, and then we'll start piecing all of these together. So, we'll start to build like a simple VM, then we'll make the deployment multi-region, we'll build traffic manager, and then in the final section, or final lesson even, we'll deploy the Azure Bastion service and then look at how we can integrate that. And there's a ton of good stuff in this course around how we can use best practice, structure stuff, using modules, using data sources, import existing stuff. That's all in the course now. If you did the previous course, there's definitely some new stuff. There's new functionality in Terraform 12. That's all included in the course. And obviously, in the 18 months since I previously created the course, I've got a lot more experience in this, so I can also bring that to the course. So I hope if you've done it before, you find it worthwhile to go over the course again. And if you haven't done it, I really hope you find it useful. So the audience for the course, so this is aimed at students with basic to intermediate knowledge of Azure and ideally some scripting and programming knowledge. This course assumes a level of exposure to Azure or network infrastructure. However, as we introduce each of the Azure resources, I'll give you a brief overview and explanation of each of these. You can probably follow the course if you've no experience of any of this. I think obviously if you understand subnets, networks, just how Azure works, basic level, that would definitely be useful. And obviously from a coding perspective, any exposure to have to any coding will help, because Terraform isn't a full-blown programming language, but it does have a lot of features of a programming language. The format of the course is learn by example. The lessons and content have been designed to be followed by anyone. So, like I said before, you should be able to complete the course. Depending on the nature of the lesson, there may be a slide where I provide some background or go over a particular aspect of Azure or Terraform. I've tried to keep the number of slides to a minimum to keep the course as hands-on as possible, but obviously I need to, provide some background information. So I've tried to structure the course as logically as possible. Each section will begin with an overview of what's to come. And then at the start of each section, I'll include copies of the code up to the end of the previous section. And that way, if you have any problems, you can go back and, or rather go forward to the next section where you'll find the code, and then you can refer to this. Just if you have any troubleshooting, or maybe you've done a typo, you can obviously just look to see what's going on there. Prerequisites. So I've produced the course on Windows 10. In the course, I'm going to be using Terraform, obviously. I'm going to use Visual Studio as my IDE and Azure CLI. Okay, all of these now are fully supported on Apple, and most Linux variants. So I'd recommend using these, but obviously if you got a different IDE you prefer to work with, then go ahead and use that. I've included lessons on how to install these on Windows 10. I've been through the process also on Linux. It's pretty straightforward. You can just pretty much go to the same web links, and instructions are provided how to install these components. Okay, and the final thing is you'll require an Azure subscription. Okay, so when I produced this course, I've used a pay-as-you-go course, and I've kind of looked and accumulated a bill of about $1 in producing this course, and that's in a month. Okay, so my recommendation would be if you've got a trial course, then try doing the course on a free trial subscription. I've not been able to do that because I've had so many free trials now. I've run out of free trials, so I've not been able to test it on a free trial. It should work. I can't promise that. My recommendation would be, if you've got access to one, by all means try it. If you start to run into issues that you can't deploy something, then you may need to just switch to a pay-as-you-go subscription. Like I say, this course is probably going to be well under $1 in terms of compute and infrastructure time. Obviously around that, every time you deploy something, if you're not going to move straight on to the next lesson, then make sure, once we get to the stage where we're building virtual machines, make sure you deallocate these or do a Terraform destroy. And when you come back to it, obviously, I'll give you instructions with each lesson where we need to be. Towards the end of the course, we might need to leave the infrastructure in place for certain lessons. So I'll give you guidance on that. But as a rule, at the end of a lesson, you can do a destroy. You can always rebuild, get things back to where you came from. Okay, so that concludes the introduction. And now we can move on to the first section.